This is the MGTOW Infinium here with another Infinium Free Talk. This Infinium Free Talk is entitled A Few Thoughts. My brothers, this was supposed to be an Infinium out and about. However, there was a thunderstorm in my area when I was going to do the out and about. And I don't want to go through the experience of being hit by lightning again. So I decided against that. But anyway, moving along to the few thoughts that I have. My brothers, you may have heard about the nuclear physicist who was rejected by the Pixie, the BAW Pixie, who said that he did not have a personality that was sufficient for her. Now, my brothers, we all know that this is typical of what happens with these women, not only BAWs, but all women. They look for the bad boys. They want the Pookies, the Chads, or whatever that are running about so they can do the CC action with them, so they can have the thrills of their lifetime, so to speak. But nevertheless, this Pixie who rejected that young man made a very fatal error, which is beneficial to all men who are experiencing the red pills that are going about because of like Amber Heard, because of all the things like with Kevin Samuels, all of these things, and those men who are now adopting the MGTOW philosophy. She actually did these men a favor because it is another eye-opening type of thing that's happening with women. Now, if you haven't seen the interview that the B-Dub had with the young man who was a nuclear physicist, and thank you, Black Ram 313, for giving us that term, the B-Dub, so to speak. But if you haven't seen this, my brothers, I would ask you to just look that up and just look at that interview, look at that failure that Pixie had, because it is an eye-opening type of deal in terms of what's going on. Nevertheless, she has this interview with him, and he's the type of young man who was very focused, very determined, and is not the type of guy that seems like he will settle for less. And so in this interview, it comes out that he is not only a nuclear physicist, he has been certified as a pharmacist at the age of 17. Now, my brothers, I want you to think about that, because I don't know of any young man who has been, or young person at all, who has been certified as a pharmacist at the age of 17. And he, of course, he said that he did that for a while, but that really didn't turn him on. So he started looking for other options. He got into some other things, and then he finally wound up with the Navy, and he is going to be a nuclear physicist. And so, again, this Pixie, this B-Dub, said, well, good luck, and pushed him off of the air. And there are two reactions. One, from one side of womanists, there are a group of womanists who are very angry at this B-Dub, at this Pixie, and they are raking her through the coals. They are raking her over the coals, I should say. And they are slamming her because here it is, this young man who has a lot going on for him. And you just casually, he doesn't have a good personality for me, and I don't want to deal with that. So goodbye. And so she's getting it from there. And of course, she's getting it from the manospheres. But there's a set also that are agreeing with him that he needed to have a type of personality to turn her on, to get her interested in him. And that personality is the bad boy personality. Pookie, Ray Ray, Chad, whatever. But my brothers, nevertheless, that is a fatal mistake on her part. Because this young man, who he didn't even seem fazed by what she did. He just said, okay, goodbye. But this young man is going to go out and do something great in his life, it seems to me. If he doesn't get hung up with the wrong aspects of life or whatever, he's going to do something great. You'll probably be hearing about him in some way in the future. But getting back to what she did to him, my brothers, is typical of what these women do. And that is basically devaluing a man. Even though he has these qualifications, these capabilities, devaluing him to a level below her because of his personality, because of his nonchalant type of, well, I would say it's his personality. He's kind of a nerdy, geeky guy, and nerdy, geeky guys have that type of personality. They are not really the types of people that are crowd pleasers. They are the types of people that go out and invent things and do things that are far beyond the scope of many people around them. And I would say this, that his mind is probably functioning on a level far above what that pixie is. And so therefore he would be incompatible with her, not only because of that, but because her level of thinking is that she wants excitement. She's not thinking about having a man in her life that will be somebody that she can encourage to go on and invent things, to become somebody that's prominent in the technical sectors. Think about it again, my brothers. This young man was certified as a pharmacist at 17. And he's into things that most young men around him are not into. And so there again, this pixie did not have the foresight to pick up on that and to deal with that type of personality. It's not about his personality in this case. It is about who he is as a man and what he can do as a man. And see, again, she devalued him with all those talents and capabilities based upon his personality, because it did not match up to the Pookie Ray Ray standard that she has in her mind. And again, my brothers, that is beneath him. That is well below him. And so in that regard, she did this young man a favor, and as well, she did all men who are red pilling, who are adopting the MGTOW philosophy, a favor, because she showed again what these women are doing. And there's another component. She's not only devaluing him, she is setting him, or trying to set him aside as that friend zone dude who either will come after her when she wants him to come after her, and that is when she hits the wall, she's single mother, she's been kicked off of the CC, and Chad, Tyrone, or whoever has kicked her to the curb, and now she needs a good man to take care of her and clean up her mess. That's what she's doing. She's setting him aside. She's not rejecting him, so to speak, totally, but she's setting him aside and men like him aside so that she can go out and have her fun and do what she needs to do, make a mess, and then she goes after the good man, which this man is already. And see, in any case, again, it is a fatal mistake that not only is this pixie making, but is many women who do these types of things to men. Because in the end, they can find themselves in a condition where men like this young man don't want them and don't need them in their lives. And it's them that do the rejecting in the end. So again, my brothers, I said all that to say basically this. Don't let these women, these womanists, devalue you in what you can do and what you can accomplish because of your stature, because of your personality. So what if you're 5'8" and you have a geeky, nerdy personality? So what? So what? Don't let them put you down in that manner, but do what you need to do. Do what you need to do and go your own way as you should be going, irregardless of what they're saying about your personality, that you can't please them, you can't do this, you can't do that. And really, my brothers, look at the ludicrousy of that situation. Here you are as a pixie who really can't function on the level that this young man is functioning at, and you're rejecting him solely because of his personality. My brothers, there's a lot of thought going around that these men, like this young man, should change their personalities so that they can be accepted by a woman, that they need to have more game to their action, whatever. And my brothers, I reject that. I put that away from me because it's time for these women to accept men for who they are. It's more like these women have to come up to our standards, not the other way around. Meaning that they have to bring something to our tables, which is substantial, which is meaningful. And what I mean by that, not making men targets, but women being good mates for their man, being mates that they can trust, being mates that will have their man's back, all these types of things. And it's all these types of things that we know as MGTOW men, women will not do. And my brothers, the time and age where we are targets, where we are just mere playthings for women is over. And that's what this B-dub and a lot of women like her, a lot of womanists like her do not realize that time of men being playthings for women is now over. Now, the other thought that I had, my brothers, was that there's a lot of talk going on about the MGTOW philosophy going away. And I will say that no, it's not going away, but womanists do want it to go away, so to speak. And of course, they're doing everything and anything to make that happen in terms of censorship, whatever, gagging us. But my brothers, the one thing that womanists cannot do is to censor what's in our minds. And in the minds of every MGTOW man is the determination to be free. And so in that regard, yes, they may do something crazy like outlawing MGTOW being spoken out in public, and if you're doing so, like they're doing right now, they're trying to make MGTOW men as terrorists and whatever, just for the mere fact that we just want to be left alone. But they could even go further by doing things like making a law somewhere where you cannot say MGTOW at all. You can't. If you do say, you'll be put into jail. And I can see that, something like that happening. And of course, we know ultimately if they go that far, we will still be MGTOW men in our minds. And it will be a sense of, well, if I can't say it in public, if I can't say it in a space like YouTube, I can say it in my mind. And I can do things in my mind. And I can execute those plans in such a way that regardless of any law, any type of censorship, they cannot stop me from being a MGTOW man. So what I'm saying in essence is, regardless of what happens, you, my brothers, need to continue on your way as MGTOW men. And you need to continue to hold the line at all costs. My brothers, moving along to my final comment, I was listening to J.D. Miles' content this morning, and he was covering an article that was written by some pixie for The Root. And The Root is a black-centered or African-American-centered type of website which puts out a lot of what I consider to be BS. But nevertheless, Brother J.D. Miles was covering this. And in that article, there was this nonsense about how Amber Heard's quote-unquote suffering should be a good example for black women as well. And as J.D. Miles indicated, that's a load of BS. And I agree with him. Because what that's saying, my brothers, is that here you have a woman who lied, who actively tried to destroy Johnny Depp's life, who caused him to lose all types of money, contracts, movie roles, everything. And it was proven decisively in court based upon evidence, factual evidence, some of which included her voice, her statements, her actions, that she was a liar, that she is not a victim, she was an abuser. And so this pixie wrote in this article that Amber Heard should be a role model to black women. And of course, like the B-dub that rejected the nuclear physicist, she is also being raked all over the coals. But my brothers, this pixie deserves what she's getting, because the lunacy and the ludicrousness of her statement is beyond scope. Again, think about it. A white woman who lies, who actively tries to destroy her husband, who takes 6 years out of his life, that is supposed to be a role model, not only to black women, but to all women. Instead of having a woman who tries to be a good wife to her husband, who brings benefit to his life, who brings something to the table, this is what these womanists are saying and pushing. This is the lunacy that they're pushing, my brothers. And again, there is a segment of womanists who are basically trying to back away from what they say is rabid womanism. For instance, they're making statements that I'm a womanist, but I'm not like those womanists, that type of thing. My brothers, womanism is womanism. And that's what needs to be dealt with. And that's what needs to be addressed. It is not what we men are doing, what we MGTOW men are doing, which is basically, we have been saying all along, We do not hate women, and we just want to be left alone. But see, my brothers, again, these womanists are shooting themselves in the foot by doing what they're doing. Because, again, like that B-Dub who rejected the physicist, or like Amber Heard lying and expecting that even when she is proven to be guilty, and even being supported by the MSM, that men are supposed to turn around and accept what she's doing. But my brothers, again, all this is adding to the red pills, to the numbers of men who are saying it is best for me to adopt and embrace the MGTOW philosophy and go my way in peace. And so all this that's going around, the types of statements, the things that are going on, the censorship, is all in the end causing problems. Not for the MGTOW philosophy, but instead all those womanists who think that life is going to go on and continue on ad infinitum, when really there is dynamic change going on around them. And really, my brothers, if these womanists would just look into the mirror of accountability and begin to say, yes, I am accountable for my actions. I did this wrong. I made this mistake. And not in a chameleon type of way where we now see these womanists saying that, oh yeah, men are upset with us because of this and because of that, but truly taking accountability and truly doing things like going before Congress and saying this womanism, this thing is destroying us all. And in order to have peace with men, this needs to go away. But we know, my brothers, that's not going to happen. And it's going to take, quote unquote, like RPM says, the lights going out and womanism going with it. And see, my brothers, again, that's why no matter what you see swirling around you, you see statements being made, you see all these women running around threatening MGTOWs, trying to get the government to get rid of us, that type of thing. We MGTOWs being associated with mass shootings, all these types of blah, blah, blah issues. Nevertheless, my brothers, you need to do what you've been doing all along, and that is continuing on your pathway to freedom, which takes you to freedom. This is the MGTOW Infinium, and this has been an Infinium Free Talk. My MGTOW brothers, as always, stay safe, stay strong, stay on the MGTOW path, and remember, MGTOW is the liberation of men's minds. MGTOW cannot and will not be stopped.